SOUMYA'S biology classes. I strongly believe that learning biology without understanding can be a torture, but with clear concepts it becomes fun and pleasure. In this lecture, I will be explaining the typical morphology and life cycle of bryophytes by taking example of moss plant. It is included in the chapter Plant Kingdom. Bryophytes are known as amphibians of the plant kingdom. They are known as amphibians of the plant kingdom. They are known as amphibians of the plant kingdom because just like amphibians, they live in land but they need water for fertilization. For carrying the male gamete, that is sperm or antherzoid, toward the female gamete, that is egg or oosphere, water is needed. They are mostly terrestrial. They are mostly terrestrial. They are the first group of plants to colonize the land. They prefer to thrive in moist, damp, shady and humid places. Now I will be forming a diagram to show you the typical morphology of a moss plant. I am forming the diagram to show you the typical morphology of a moss plant. This green photosynthetic portion is the gametophyte. It is the haploid part of the plant body. Haploid means that they have single set of chromosome, one of each type. Gametophyte. Phyte means plants and gameto means gametes. So gametophyte is that part of the plant body which is involved in the production of haploid gametes by the process of mitosis. Gametophyte is the dominant phase. It is independent. And the main plant body is represented by the gametophyte. This brown part present at the tip of the gametophyte is the sporophyte. So this is the sporophyte. It is the diploid part of the plant body. Diploid means that they have two sets of chromosomes, two of each type. Sporophyte. Phyte means plants and sporo means spores. So sporophyte is that part of the plant body which is involved in the production of haploid spores by the process of meiosis. And since the spores, they are formed as a result of meiosis, they are also called meiospores. The sporophyte is born on the gametophyte. It is dependent on the gametophyte for nourishment. The sporophyte is dependent on the gametophyte for nourishment, and the sporophyte is short-lived. It is short-lived. In bryophytes, true roots, stems and leaves, they are absent, but root-like, leaf-like and stem-like structures, they are present. This is the main axis or stem-like structure. Around which the leaves, they are spirally arranged. This stem-like structure is called colloid. They provide strength so that the plant can be erect. These are the leaf-like structures known as phylloid. They perform the function of photosynthesis just like leaves. These are the root-like structure. Known as rhizoid. They are involved in the absorption of water and minerals just like roots. Although these structures perform the same function like root, stems and leaves, but still they are not considered as true structures. In order to be considered as true structures, firstly, there should be presence of vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem. And secondly, these structures should be present on the sporophyte. But in case of bryophytes, the vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem, they are absent, and these stem-like, leaf-like and root-like structures, they are present on the gametophytic plant body. They are not present on the sporophytic plant body. Hence, they cannot be considered as true structures. Due to the absence of vascular tissues, they do not grow very tall. Most of the bryophytes are less than 2 cm in height. Dawsonia superba, which is the largest bryophyte, a moss plant, reaches 60 cm. Now, coming to the sporophyte is differentiated into 3 parts: the foot, the seta and the capsule. This solen part is called the capsule. It is also known as sporangium. It is the center of spore formation. Within the capsule, spore mother cells are present, which are diploid, that undergoes meiosis to produce haploid spores. The tip of the capsule is covered by a lid which is called the operculum. So this is the operculum. This stalk-like structure is called the seta, and this is the foot. With the help of the foot, the sporophyte remains attached to the body of the gametophyte. It derives nourishment from the gametophyte. So this is a typical morphology of a moss plant. Now I will be forming a schematic diagram to show you the life cycle of moss plant. As I have already told you that in bryophytes, the main plant body is haploid and it is represented by the gametophyte. So the main plant body is haploid and it is represented by the gametophyte. The gametophyte bears sex organs, male sex organ and female sex organ. So the gametophyte, it bears sex organs, male sex organ and female sex organ. The male sex organ is known as antheridium, whereas the female sex organ is known as archegonium. Antheridium is rounded or clap-shaped. It is rounded or clap-shaped, whereas archegonium is flask-shaped. Antheridium produce male gamete, that is sperm or antherozoid. So the antheridium produce male gamete, that is sperm or antherozoid. In bryophytes, the antherozoids are twisted, comma-shaped and biflagellated. That means they have two flagella. So biflagellated antherozoids are produced. They are biflagellated. Archegonium produce female gamete, that is egg or oosphere. Archegonium produce female gamete, that is egg or oosphere. Flagellated sperms produced in antheridium, they swim in external water to the archegonium, where it fuses with the egg to form a diploid zygote by a process called fertilization. Fertilization occurs within the archegonium. The zygote divides mitotically to form a multicellular embryo. The zygote, it divides mitotically to form a multicellular embryo, and the embryo differentiates to form the sporophyte. The embryo, it differentiates to form the sporophyte. As I have already told you that the sporophyte is differentiated into three parts, that is the foot, the seta and the capsule. So the sporophyte is differentiated into three parts: the foot, the seta and the capsule. Within the capsule, spore mother cells are present, which are diploid. Within the capsule, spore mother cells are present, which are diploid. These spore mother cells, they undergo meiosis to produce haploid spores. The spore mother cells, they undergo meiosis to produce haploid spores. The spores, after being released from the capsule, they fall on a suitable substratum and they germinate to form a filamentous gametophyte. The spores germinate to form a filamentous gametophyte, and this filamentous gametophyte is called protonema. plural is protonema. Protonema stage, please keep this in mind, that this protonema stage is present only and only in mosses. Other members of bryophytes such as leaf roots and horn roots do not have this protonema stage. Protonema, they develop buds. Protonema, they develop buds, and the buds sprouts to form the gametophyte. The buds, they germinate to form the gametophyte. Since the sporophyte is formed from the zygote represents first cell of the sporophytic generation. So the zygote, it represents first cell of the sporophytic generation. And since the gametophyte is formed from the spores represent first cell of the gametophytic generation. So the spores represent first cell of the gametophytic generation. In bryophytes, there is a regular switchover from gametophytic to sporophytic generation. That is, the gametophyte give rise to the sporophyte and the sporophyte give rise to the gametophyte. This phenomena is known as alternation of generation. This phenomena is known as alternation of generation. And since the gametophyte and the sporophyte, they are morphologically different from each other, this type of alternation of generation is known as heteromorphic or heterologous alternation of generation. In the life cycle, two multicellular generations are there. One is haploid, called the gametophyte, and the other is diploid, called the sporophyte. Such type of life cycle is called a haplodiplontic life cycle. So such type of life cycle is called a haplodiplontic life cycle. Haplodiplontic life cycle is a type of life cycle in which both haploid and diploid stages are present in the life cycle. This is the haploid phase, in which gametophyte, gametes, spores, protonema, buds, they are all haploid structures. And this is the diploid phase, in which zygote, embryo, sporophyte, spore mother cells, they are all diploid structures. So this is the life cycle of moss plant. It is a schematic representation. Moss plant funaria is monoecious, that is, the male and female sex organs, they are present in different branches of the same plant, while polytrichum is dioecious, that is, the male and female sex organs, they are present in separate plants. The male gametophyte bears the male sex organ, that is antheridium, and the female gametophyte bears the female sex organ, that is archegonium. Now let us see some diagrams. This is a typical morphology of a moss plant. This green photosynthetic portion is the gametophyte. It is the haploid part of the plant body. This is the main axis or stem-like structure. These are the leaf-like structures. And these are the root-like structures which are called rhizoids. This brown part present at the tip of the gametophyte is the sporophyte. It is the diploid part of the plant body. The sporophyte is differentiated into three parts, that is the foot, the seta and the capsule. This solen part is called the capsule. The tip of the capsule is covered by a lead which is called the operculum. This is the operculum. This stalk-like structure is called the seta, and this is the foot. With the help of the foot, the sporophyte remains attached to the body of the gametophyte. It derives nourishment from the gametophyte. Now this is the diagram of Polytrichum commune, also called the hairy cap moss. This solen part is called the capsule. This stalk-like structure is called the seta, and this green photosynthetic portion is the gametophyte. The capsule is covered by a hood-like structure which is called the calyptra. It is the remnant of the archegonium. The tip of the capsule is covered by a lead which is called the operculum. Just underneath the operculum, teeth-like structures are present which are called peristome teeth. They develop in two rows of 16 each, and they are hygroscopic in nature. That is, they have the ability to absorb moisture from the air. In dry conditions, the peristome teeth, they lose water and bend outward, releasing the spores from the capsule. This is a diagram showing the life cycle of moss plant. This is the male gametophyte. At the tip of the male gametophyte, male sex organ or antheridia are present. This is the female gametophyte. At the tip of the female gametophyte, female sex organ or archegonia are present. Both the antheridia and archegonia, they are present in groups which are called receptacle. The antheridia produce male gamete, that is sperm or antherozoid, and the archegonia produce female gamete, that is egg or oosphere. Flagellated sperms produced in antheridia, they swim in external water to the archegonia while it fuses with the egg to form a diploid zygote by a process called fertilization. Fertilization occurs within the archegonia. The zygote, it divides mitotically to form a multicellular embryo, and the embryo differentiates to form the sporophyte. And this sporophyte, it emerges out from the top of the gametophyte. So these are the sporophyte. The sporophyte is differentiated into three parts, that is the foot, the seta and the capsule. The capsule is also known as sporangium. Within the capsule, spore mother cells are present which are diploid, that undergoes meiosis to produce haploid spores. The spores, after being released from the capsule, they fall on a soluble substratum and they germinate to form a filamentous gametophyte which is called the protonymata. Singular is protonyma. Protonymata is plural. Protonymata develop buds. These are the buds, and the buds sprouts to form the gametophyte. This is the male gametophyte. At the tip of the male gametophyte, male sex organ or antheridia are present, which produces sperm cells. This is the female gametophyte. At the tip of the female gametophyte, female sex organ or archegonia are present, which produces egg cell. Flagellated sperms produced in antheridia, they swim in external water to the archegonia. The antherozoids, it fuses with the egg to form a diploid zygote by a process called fertilization. Fertilization occurs within the archegonia. The zygote divides mitotically to form a multicellular embryo, and the embryo differentiates to form the sporophyte. The sporophyte grows in size and eventually it emerges out from the top of the gametophyte. So this is the sporophyte coming out from the top of the gametophyte. This is the calyptra. When the spores are to be released from the capsule, the calyptra is shed, the operculum is released, and as a result, the peristome teeth gets exposed. They are hygroscopic in nature. In dry conditions, they lose water and bend outward, releasing the spores from the capsule. These are the spores which are being released from the capsule. The spores, after being released from the capsule, they fall on a suitable substratum and they germinate to form a filamentous gametophyte called the protonema. The protonema develops buds, these are the buds, and the buds sprouts to form the gametophyte.